Hi, I'm Babs. It's good to see you again as we lean into wellness to build a better life. One of the things that I love is building with bricks. In our old home, we had a mason come and build a beautiful short brick wall in front of our house. We planned it. We went through many ideas of what it might look like in front of our house to match other brick. And this mason was just such a great craftsman. And he built a really beautiful structure in front of our house. Simple, but beautiful. Bricks we often use to build with. This is a leftover brick from the home we live in now, and I love the color of it, that it has many different gradations of colors in it, and it's very beautiful to look at. It's also very solid. We have this in a patio that we walk on, so we know bricks have lasted for hundreds of years before and can really be great building material. Bricks can also be used for throwing through a window in a riot, and I've seen that happen as well. And a brick is heavy enough to break a window down and to have it destroy. It can harm people, it can harm buildings, it can harm automobiles, and this brick is only a brick. It becomes what it is by what we do with it. A brick can be made beautifully well and can be used to build. It can also be used to tear down. This is also a brick. This is a device that we use frequently, all of us, and often it's attached to our hands. I've often heard people talk about in the future that we'll probably have something implanted into our hands, or that we'll be able to just see through our glasses, which I think is already, the technology is already there for that. But this can be used to build up or to destroy. Smartphones have incredible use. We can organize with a smartphone. We can voice text and save a great deal of time in organizational ways to have this device. Just yesterday, I used this device to communicate with our daughter who lives in another state. And it was wonderful to see her face and the faces of her children so that we could connect across many miles. This has also been something that I have been able to connect with people across the world and have meetings with them and to even provide mental health coaching. And I'm grateful for this device. I like this device. However, it can also be a brick of destruction. There can be times where I can just scroll and I can go down the rabbit hole of looking for information. And in this, we can really lose connection with other people. Anyone who goes out for dinner can notice where children are on devices while the parents are trying to eat, or maybe the parents are on the device trying to just get through whatever it is that they want to do that's more important than the person sitting across from them. We are often losing our capacity to connect with one another by connecting with this brick. This can be a building brick or a brick of destruction, and we have that option of how we use this device. Children are especially vulnerable with smartphones in particular, but also any kind of social media. But don't make a mistake. We as adults can also fall victim to problems with social media and any time on a smartphone. One of the problems is with children is they are very influenced by whatever they see as an expert online. TikTok, for example. TikTok is a major influencer of kids and adults, and yet there's a vast amount of information on TikTok that's harmful. And in fact, the Chinese government will only allow their users of TikTok to view educational videos. They are not watching, as a rule, a bunch of influencers that are more time wasters, or they're not influencing their kids to be able to do their best. I am most concerned as a mental health provider that we are very careful to remember that children need connection. Adults need connection. In decades past, in the 70s, for example, people would list at least 3 people that they could confide in as friends or other close people. Now, people list no one. Most people will often say they don't have anyone they can confide in. This is a problem. We need to be able to have interpersonal skills and interpersonal relationships. Now, we all know that COVID was a problem, and it made it really difficult for us to interact in person for many reasons. But one of the problems that we didn't necessarily address was that some of the problems of anxiety and depression and less connectedness began even before COVID and were merely exacerbated by the shutdowns. So I think it's important for all of us to remember that this is a brick. We control this brick. If we let it control us, it will lead to a lack of connection. Another potential problem for our smartphones is that we lose sleep when we use this device. This device, the light that we might be using as we're going to sleep, actually interrupts our sleep, our ability for our circadian rhythm to be strong and to be set well. Light in our eyes from any device is problematic. As we learn through great scientific information, light helps us set our circadian rhythm, as does dark. So we need to have the capacity for light. In the morning and during the day, it helps us wake up and get going. It also sets us up for great sleep at night. Great sleep at night happens when we don't have a lot of light for the hour or 2 before we go to bed. That means screen time, even though we think we're protecting ourselves from blue light, does not necessarily mean that the other kind of light or not having blue light glasses on is not going to cause a problem, because it can. So we want to take this device, we want to put it away 1 to 2 hours before we go to sleep so that we can have optimal sleep. I know this is difficult for many of us because we're used to looking through our emails or social media or any of those types of things to get sleep. But sleep is absolutely foundational for mental health and physical health. If we don't have good sleep, we are less likely to be able to be regulated and to be able to have good, healthy interactions. So we want to make sure that we have great sleep so that our health is better. Great sleep is foundational even for our immune system. So we really need to focus on what we're doing with this device regarding our sleep. Another real issue that can come with this brick-like device is viewing of things that are not healthy for us to consume. Many people view what we're doing on a phone as neutral, but I think we need to really consider what's happening with children's brains. So one thing we know in adolescence, and those are the years from about 9 or 10 all the way through the age of 25, that the brain prunes out what we don't need or what we don't use. And so if children are filling their brains constantly with Fortnite, with any kind of Roblox, any kind of video game or pornography. Let's say you get a kid that gets kind of pulled into pornography and has a use disorder with that, or is just using it regularly to self-regulate. That teenager or even that adult is not learning how to regulate in healthy ways, which would be real personal connection. And so what happens is those patterns in our brains become stronger and they don't get pruned out. And so we want to make sure that we are helping our children and helping ourselves by not overdoing it on screen time. We need to get outdoors. We need to have in-person relationships. Often in my therapy practice, I will hear kids talk about their friends that they've never met. They are only online friends. During the shutdown, we might argue that those friendships were important, and perhaps they were. And it's perfectly all right to meet people across the country or from far away. Those can be great relationships. But if we never have interpersonal exchanges with people that are live, in person, we are going to be missing out on life. We're going to be missing out on some of our ability to connect. And one of the great concerns that we ought to have as parents is our ability to connect with our kids. If they are on their phones and we are on our phones, we might just be living side-to-side existence and not really interacting. What we're finding is, with adults and children, suicidality is on the rise. We're allowing other people to make the decisions of what's most important for us to know about other human beings. That connection is only found through this brick and not connection in person, where we're actually actively engaging with other human beings. We could even be at dinner with someone, and if we are each looking at our phones across from each other, that's problematic. We should be able to put this brick aside in its purposeful spot away from us when we are in person. That we should be able to have a meal together with our family and interact. That this is one of the great ways that we exchange information, and that we need to create that around our relationships with our families. I'd like to just reiterate that a brick is only a brick. Its action or its ability to do something is completely determined by the person who's using the brick. A great craftsman can build a beautiful wall with this brick, or a beautiful home or structure. And that is a fantastic purpose. But in the hands of somebody who's angry and rioting, this brick could go through a window. It could hurt another person. It could go through a car. It could really cause harm and damage. And we, as human beings, are the ones that control this brick. As human beings, we are the ones that control these devices. We already know that Meta and other platforms are doing their best to hook us in to their platforms, and that there are ways that people try to keep us on that platform. We need to decide, are we in control of this brick, or are we allowing someone else to be in control of this brick? I hope that we can remember that better mental health comes by us being in charge of our smartphones, that we are the ones that need to be smart enough to build with it and not destroy with it. Thank you very much. It was great being here again with you as we lean into wellness to build a better life.